Hello friends, my name is James Hopkins, and as always I'm joined by my good friends Bryan Castiglione and Anthony Alessino, as well as my younger brother, Jack Hopkins. On this show we're all about parlays, overs, unders, spreads, and money lines. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Parlay-Vous. What is up, everybody, and welcome back after a 3-week layoff to the Parlay-Vous podcast. After the season, I think we all needed a little bit of a break from the show. So instead of coming in and talking about how terrible the All-Star game was and the slam dunk contest sucking and, you know, our Knicks playing without 4 starters, we just took 3 weeks off. But NFL, the legal tampering period began Monday at noon, and it's all official now as of 4 p.m. yesterday. As of 4 p.m. yesterday, the actual off-season has begun, and everything is officially official. So let's get right down to the brass tacks. We got everybody. We got Jack. We got Bryan. We got Alessino via the Zoom. Let's get right down to the nuts and bolts of the whole situation. Your hero, your superstar, your darling, has returned home to the state of Pennsylvania to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley, of course, we were talking about, has jumped ship from the New York Giants to the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll get into the money with the running backs later, but here's the first thing I want to do for each of our resident Giants fans. We'll go Alessino first, then Bryan. If you pay attention at all in the New York media, Tiki released a little hot fucking message for Saquon. And we all know what he said. And if you don't know what he said, if you're not from New York, he said, "You're dead to us, Saquon. You're dead to us." And so with that, Mr. Alessino, I pose you the question. Let's assume Mr. Barkley is watching, and we know he is. What would you like to personally say to Saquon for his 6 years in New York and for his departure to divisional rival, Super Bowl favorite?
I would say thank you. Thank you for your service. Good luck. You right?
God bless.
God bless the troops.
It doesn't bother me like it bothers everybody else. It doesn't bother me. When you pay a running back, you don't win. The Eagles have now officially paid a running back. We weren't winning with Barkley. Who cares? This is not a team that went from Super Bowl contender to now a fringe playoff team because we got rid of Saquon Barkley. We didn't want him last year. Because if they wanted him, they would have signed him to a long-term deal. And you can't say, oh, they don't pay running backs because they just paid the running back. It might not be what he wanted, don't get me wrong, but so, like, I think Tiki Barber, I think he's a flake, dude. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He don't speak for real Giant fans. That's
exactly
how I feel.
what I was going to say.
It sucks he went to Philly because we see him twice a year. But, like, bro, who wouldn't want to go home? Like, think about that. You're playing anywhere else in the country and you can go home and play for Super Bowl contending teams that wants to pay you and wants you to be there. Sorry. We ain't winning with him. I'm telling you right now. He's not. This might be the one dig in my little segment here. He's not good enough to move the needle. He's not. Because if he was, he would have. Derrick Henry was a needle mover for like 5 years.
He's certainly no Breece Hall, I'll give you that.
Breece Hall, needle mover. Derrick Henry, over the last 5 years, needle mover. McCaffrey, needle mover. Say it with me. Alvin Kamara, needle mover.
Not anymore.
Definitely
Dude,
used to be,
I'm saying I'm taking the 5-year average, the last 5 years. You know, I'm taking Saquon's 6 years in the Giants as a reference. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do it. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. So go try to do it with somebody else. I'm sure it'll be great. I think the Eagles are regressing now. Even though they have this all-in mentality. I can't see Sirianni there I can't see him make it through this year. What do you think, Bryan?
I mean, I agree with you too. I was gonna make the first point I was gonna make was that first off, there's no spokesman for the New York Giants besides Eli Manning. I don't care
only claim
about
Eli.
anything Tiki Barber has to say. He came out after the Super Bowl and trashed Eli Manning after they won the Super Bowl. Sorry, dude, you lost it then. But the way I feel about Barkley is, I kind of agree. I mean, I'm happy that he's going to somewhere he wants. He's getting paid. The team's a little bit better. I do honestly feel though, we could have gotten more out of him. You know, I bring it up all the time to Hawk for sure, but watching him come out, I think it was his second year coming out, go down on his elbow weird, and I remember saying out loud, they should pull him from the game. And then the next play comes out and tears his ACL, done for the whole entire season. And then I know the opinions on the ACLs are wishy-washy, but I have always been a believer that 1 year removed from an ACL surgery is really when you start to get going. So you tear the ACL, the next year we have the down year, and then last year he was not too bad. But I agree. I don't think his talent level wasn't enough to make the Giants playoff contender. It didn't make sense to pay him given what the situation on the team is right now. And like you said too, running backs aren't getting paid. I mean, you said we'll go over running back money later for sure, but just a quick example. Eckler asked for 30 and wound up with 11 this year. So, you know, that's just kind of how it's going right now. But I agree. I hope he does well. The Giants rebuild doesn't make sense if we bring him back, especially with the complete question mark at this whole quarterback situation that's popping up. So, but other than that, I hope he does well. Honestly, I do. But like I said, well, like you were saying, versing him twice a year is going to be terrible. And I do feel like those games are going to be 120, 125 type fucking games where you're like, this is the best Saquon's looked in the last like 4 years, just because you know how that shit sort of goes every year with the revenge games.
The positive is no more Bart Scott touchdowns.
Right.
Boston Scott, sorry.
Boston Scott, yeah, but now it's going to be Saquon.
Bart Scott, leave my man Bart out of this.
Yeah, Bart didn't do nothing to nobody. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about Saquon Barkley coming off of, he's going to the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, who had a 2023 run block win rate, first in the NFL. He's going to that from the New York Giants, who had a run block win rate 31st in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if all things are equal, you should assume that his numbers will be better and he will be successful. But this is a day-to-day league. It's a week-to-week league. You never know what's going to happen. I do agree with you, Alessino, that I think the Eagles are going to start to regress a little bit. I'm pretty sure I said it late in the year last year that now Hurts is paid. So now that money is going to start kicking in on Hurts' contract.
Yeah.
Kelsey retired. I know, didn't they just re-up Mailata this offseason? Did they extend Mailata?
And they have a good rookie center, right?
Yeah, they threw.
Second-year center.
Yeah. Yes.
So, you know, we'll see what happens there. I felt like I had one more thing to say about Barkley, but now I guess it's missing me. Oh, this is it. Now that it's all said and done, 6 years with the New York Giants, with the New York Football Giants organization, the third overall pick, second overall pick in the NFL draft there, the 2018 NFL draft, if I'm not mistaken. I'm now going to pose the question, would the Giants have been better off selecting a quarterback?
I'll say yes, only because, and I think Hawk's going to make the same point if I didn't, the name of the game has been, at least for the last few years, is you draft your replacement halfway through and develop them and then bring them out. And I just feel like we would have been at that point when Eli left had we drafted that. Right? You would figure? Eli retired, what year was that?
There was a year left. He had 1 year left.
So he would have had 1 year to develop behind Eli. 2 rings. Not bad. Not the worst person to learn from. And we may have been in a different position. But we did what everyone else has done in the past. We march out a rookie day one, and we say, figure it out.
Yeah, it's damn near impossible to know for sure. But I know that he wasn't the pick.
The revision
Did I
is...
say that?
The revision
Did I
is...
say that he wasn't the pick?
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, that feels fair.
Yes,
yeah.
I was saying it then, and all the Giants fans, not specifically you guys, but like every Giants fan in my life for the most part was like, no, Eli's still got a good 2 or 3, 4 more years left in him.
No,
we need another weapon that's going to put... Bro, watch that 2017 season over again, bro.
Crazy.
Eli had a fork in him.
Yeah.
And for the fact that people that are... Was it... Who's the asshole that was their GM that fucked the whole organization up, but just got out for Shane to come in? The Panthers guy.
Yeah.
Fucking. The fact that he couldn't see, maybe it's not a quarterback, because what I want to get to is the revisionists are going to say, oh, well, who would the quarterback have been? Darnold? Look at what Darnold happened. Yeah, fine, but first of all, Darnold just got $10 million guaranteed to probably be the starter of the Vikings, first of all. Second of all, you can't fucking be a revisionist about it now, because Darnold was the number one quarterback prospect for 18 fucking months until Baker lit it up at the end of the year, and the Browns, now Baker's on his fourth fucking team, so it's not even like there was, oh, well, Baker would have been better, not necessarily,
Right,
and
so
look at
I'm
what
saying-
Baker's done.
I'm saying Barkley wasn't the pick, but I'm not saying that a quarterback was.
I would have easily taken a year production out of, like, year sitting and just learning behind Eli as a mentor with Sam Darnold over probably drafting Daniel Jones. To be fair. Because Sam Darnold had the same deal done to him. They marched him out. Same fucking way.
I'm still in on Daniel Jones.
I'm still in on Daniel Jones, too. I have to agree.
Because you can't
But in
be
this
out on
situation,
him.
no, absolutely not. Not after paying him. Not with, if we go the quarterback route, you're committing to yet another rebuild. It's just...
Next year, you can be out on him. You cannot be out on him this year. It doesn't matter.
It is, as we know, smokescreen season, but there's word around the water cooler that the Giants are trying to move up into the top 3 to select a quarterback come April.
I really hope not.
Although, like,
Great.
it
and
is smokescreen season.
And if they do, let's just say they get Jaden Daniels, who I want, right? Let's just say they get him. He's sitting on the fucking bench. He's going to sit behind Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
There is not a starting. Nobody is coming in and going to start in Daniel Jones' place this year, unless something catastrophic happens where he gets injured, or, which if they do this, I might change my fandom. If they trade all the way up to 1 for Caleb, those are the only 2 ways that Daniel doesn't start this year for the Giants. If he's not healthy, or they have Caleb. If it's anybody else, he's sitting behind them. And if they take Drake May, I don't know what I'll do.
Drake May? Why? You don't like Drake May?
I think he's great.
Drake May's
but
good.
you can't take a large white quarterback from Duke, ACC, and then go take ACC basketball, and then go take a large white quarterback 3 years later from another basketball school. Don't do it.
It seems fair.
Don't do it.
The point came together.
I do get it. I do get it. But Drake May, I think, is going to be solid. But that's neither here nor there. The one move you could say from the 2018 draft, and then we're going to get into the rest of the Giants' moves and losses that they made. Why not? You could have made that deal with the Jets instead of Indy. 3 seconds. 3 second-round picks to drop from 2 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then you probably
and
then Quentin Nelson is in play, like the Colts wound up taking at 6, who the Colts probably would have taken at 3 if the Jets didn't come calling.
No,
so,
that was the move.
And I'm sure
Quentin Nelson and 3 2s would have been the move.
I'm sure the Jets didn't just call the Colts and then say, "Oh, deal." I'm sure they prodded around there. I'm sure they got a feeler, and the Giants were like, "No, we're taking Saquon. He's our guy." So, without further ado, Jack, let it rip with the rest of the Giants' moves this year.
No.
Do we want all of them or just like the important shit?
I mean, run them down.
All right, March 10th, Casey Crater, long snapper extension. First signing for the New York Football Giants. Gunnar Olszewski, 1 year, 1.2.
Gunnar Olszewski?
Gunnar Olszewski.
All right. I wasn't sure if that's what it was. Just that close to him.
March 11th, same day, John Runyon signs 3-year, $30 million contract with the New York Giants.
John Runyon's a good signing.
Anyone else? No?
He's good.
Next signing, Devin Singletary, 3 years, $16.5 million contract.
Significantly cheaper price point for a running back who's only marginally worse off than Saquon.
So, Jesse actually sent me this. It's a comparison between Barkley and Singletary in metrics of this year. I'm just going to read out the categories that Singletary has Barkley beaten, and that's going to be offensive grade, run grade, yards per attempt, less fumbles, rush percentage over expectations, and rushing yards against 8+ defenders in the box. He leads in all of those categories over Barkley this last season. So that is a little interesting. It does feel like a cheaper alternate to Barkley, to be 100% honest with you.
Yeah, I like Devin Singletary a lot. I think it was a good move. And Texans got their guy for a cheaper price as well, you know?
I mean, what are you going to do, you know?
Shut up, Apollo.
Jesus.
You can't hear me.
All right, same day. New York Football Giants trade with Carolina for outside linebacker Brian Burns, a 2024 second-round pick, number 39, and a 2025 fifth-round pick.
Now, I know
And then proceeded to sign a 5-year, $141 million contract.
with, well, like 100 guaranteed.
Something like that.
105.
So I believe this move is an A+ for the Panthers because I don't know if Brian Burns was not going to... Brian Burns, from all... They were talking about him on the trade market for the last 18 months, it felt like. Definitely the last year. Can't say that they would ever be able to hammer out a deal with him. And I know the Panthers fans are going to say, we gave away all this talent. We didn't even get a first-round pick. The fact that you were able to get a 2+ for a guy that would probably walk away next year for nothing, and then you get a compensatory 4th, I think it's a home run for them. I think it's a good move for the Giants. I just, like I was telling Alessino personally when the move happened, it's weird to me to make this kind of move at a position where you've already invested such prime draft capital in over the last couple of years. We took Kayvon Thibodeau in the top 5 of the draft 2 years ago. We took Azeez Ojulari in the top of the second round in his draft. You know, so I think it was a second-round pick and a first-round pick. And now we're investing another second plus more to get another edge rusher. I know historically this is the way the Giants do it. We're kicking your ass with the front four, and we're running the fucking shit out of the football. And it's a method that won them 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime, and it's when the Giants are at their best. I get it. I just felt like the price might have been a little steep to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Because I have an interesting take on this.
About the contract for Burns, you're saying?
About the trade.
I mean, what were the picks again? I kind of blanked on that.
39th overall, and then what was the other one?
A 5th and a 2nd?
Yeah, the second-round pick's the 39th overall, and then the 5th-round pick.
I mean, I don't think it's terrible. I was a little confused at trading for a linebacker, but I guess they felt like that was a need. Giving up a second seems steep, but Burns is really good. So as long as he returns, I think it's okay.
Probably top 3.
Yeah, like I think as long as he comes out and returns and doesn't have like a, random bad season, I think the second pick's going to be fine. Just sucks that it's this year and not next year.
Yeah. So I actually grade the Panthers trade as an F.
That's what a lot of people were saying, honestly.
I'm on that boat. Because
Could have shipped them earlier.
Because a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
is that what it was? A year and a half ago? Maybe a year ago? The
Definitely
Rams
a year ago.
The Rams offered him 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And they said no. So they've traded McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and Brian Burns away, and have gotten 1 first-round pick, and the first-round pick they used was Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
I'm starting to think you're doing it on
stop.
purpose.
I can't do it.
Brian Burns, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Dante Jackson, and one more premier player. They've all traded away and not netted a first-round pick for any of them. Yeah, so crazy. But with the McCaffrey thing, we understand because part of moving these guys is like with the Brian Burns move. Like, part of moving it is fine. I gotta get him, but I need to pay him all of this money now too, or the deal's off. Like, if we don't agree to a contract extension, we're not making the deal.
Now.
So that's what team. Yeah, now.
Now, not then. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you knew you were going to totally pull the trigger on your 3 best players at the time, why not pull the on the trigger at peak value? So I think the Giants got a value play. I'm not saying it was an A because I kind of agree with you with their defensive front being probably the most paid defensive front in all of football. Guess what? It better produce fucking wins and pressures because without that, they're in trouble.
Dexy got all that money. Brian Burns getting all this money. You think Kayvon ain't going to be commanding top-tier pass rusher money in another 2 years, another year? I think next offseason he's eligible to talk extension after 3 years.
Oh.
Theoretically, you have him under your control for 5. that fifth-year option's probably going to be a steep fucking number in 3
It's
years.
it's gonna be a
Yeah,
number.
he's
It's
probably
gonna be a
gonna
big
walk.
number.
Yeah.
he's
I
probably-
think the Giants. Okay, now this sounds stupid, but I think it's. This sounds how do I not stupid, but this sounds what's the word I'm looking for? Obvious. Let's call it obvious. I think the Giants will be better than they were last year.
You would hope.
I think so too.
Right? And I think that they're going to find value on the free agency market still with the wide receivers. So I think that when they thought, all right, how can we make a splash? How can we bring in an all-pro guy? They found that it was easier to find talent elsewhere through free agency. And this was the hardest spot. Like, this would be the hardest thing to go get a big piece like him. So they'd have to do it via trade. What I mean by that is they don't need Brandon Ayuk. They don't need to trade for him. They don't need T. Higgins. They don't need to trade for him because they're not that team right now. But I would absolutely sign Mike Williams. So, and that doesn't cost you a pick. That doesn't cost you anything. And it probably doesn't cost you a lot of money. Because I don't know how high everybody is on Mike Williams now. He's oft injured.
Yeah.
And due to recent developments as of today, the other team, my team, might not be in on Mike Dub. So
It might not.
might not be. We'll get to that though.
So
We kind of bypassed John Runyon. I think John Runyon's a fucking A- of a signing for the Giants. You got $10
I
million.
thought
10
so
million
is
a
he
year
doing all of
AAV.
the signings?
Well, I guess we can stop when it gets insignificant. We're kind of just trying to hit the significant ones.
All right, so Jack, do all of them, and then we'll just give the grade of the
Yeah.
offseason so far.
Jermaine Illuminor, you got
Illuminor.
it. Illuminor, right tackle, 2 years, $14 million. Drew Lock, 1 year,
Drew
$5
Lock.
million. Jalen Mills, DB, 1 year.
Okay.
Isaiah McKenzie, not specified yet.
Yeah, I
On
don't
the
think
contract.
they got the deals yet.
They bring him back today. I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was
yesterday.
today. Oh, it was yesterday. I think it was late yesterday. Cause I think I woke,
Yes,
up,
late yesterday.
I woke up to it this morning.
Nick McLeod,
It's the linebacker
DB.
from Arizona, right? That they traded for last year.
No, Isaiah McKenzie's the wide receiver.
McKenzie's
for
the wide
Buffalo.
receiver.
The wide receiver.
You're thinking of Isaiah Simmons.
Yes.
I did that too. Nick,
Oh no, I would have been much more upset. Sorry.
Nick McLeod, 1 year, 2.9
Nick McLeod.
million.
He sounds so familiar.
Steelers.
That's what it was.
No,
yeah.
I'm thinking of Ray McLeod.
Oh yeah.
Overall, I'm gonna give the Giants a B.
I was gonna say.
A B, leaning closer towards B plus overall for the offseason.
I'm giving him a B plus.
Illuminor is going to come in and be a starting right tackle immediately for them. Runyon's going to come in and be a starting guard immediately for them. So one of the biggest things we've been talking about the Giants for the last 2 years is offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. And we've discussed at length on this podcast, you can't go and spend another first-round pick on a tackle when you've already fucking done it twice in the last 4 years, and Evan Neal right now is looking like a bust. What I like about it, and I don't know, the X's and O's, positional versatility, obviously I'm not in a practice every day with the team, but now you have Runyon at one guard spot, you have John Michael Schmitz, who we're expecting to be able to step up and be a starter at center in year 2. Illuminor is going to go to the right tackle. Andrew Thomas is a fucking rock-solid left tackle. Now we got to start kicking the tires on, can Evan Neal play guard before we just let him go? Because if Evan
Right.
Neal can play like a top 20 pick at the left guard spot, all of a sudden this Giants offensive line might be able to do some damage. And then maybe, just maybe, we see the best version of Daniel Jones we ever have in the NFL. That's my piece on it.
And guess what? There's not many chances left.
It's really not.
On
Shall
the
we-
Jets.
I was gonna say.
Shall I
let's
move
see what's
on
good
to
with
the green?
Jets.
Let's move on to the green.
All right. Before, a lot of Jets fans real upset since Monday, basically since a minute into the legal tampering began. Jets fans were upset. More and more linemen coming off the board. Jets fans on Twitter losing their mind. It was a big joke, a meme, if you would, on Twitter. Legitimate, reporters, beat reporters, and people who covered the Jets in any capacity professionally were putting tweets out big update. This was when I saw that really pop me. Big update on the Jets free agency news. Joe Douglas just finished his Turkey Club sandwich and is about to crush a mid-afternoon nap. And then another one was another offensive lineman goes off the board, and Joe Douglas just returned to the Wendy's drive-thru for the 4th time today. A lot of people turning on Joe Douglas this this offseason, especially earlier on in the process. And this is what I have to say. If you're paying attention at all to any of the way that this regime has operated in the 6 years Joey D has been here, you should not have been surprised by their lack of early fucking activity in free agency. One reason being, we know that the money situation was rough for them and that they didn't have a lot of salary cap space. So we knew they weren't going to be able to make, a lot of splashy moves. The other reason, let's look back at Joe Douglas's history, as so often people want to rip him apart. Let's look at the big splashy signings that he's made. Last year, Alan Lazard, not great. We had C.J. Uzama 2 years ago, not great. We had, who else did they pay a ton of money early on in the Laken Tomlinson, not great, cut off the team. Carl Lawson, not great, cut off the team. Every single big, splashy, big money free agency signing that he's made has relatively been trash. And then you go look at the bargain bin, and he's hitting a home run after home run after home run in the bargain bin. And then everyone's upset. There's almost no tackles available. What does Joe Douglas do? He comes in, throws a sixth, and swaps fours with the Ravens to bring back Morgan Moses to play right tackle for the team next year, who was the Jets' right tackle in 2021 when he had one of his most successful seasons of his career. And the fact is, Joe Douglas should have never let him leave then to begin with. So to me, I'm not really giving it a huge, double thumbs up on the move, because he should have been on the team for the last 2 seasons anyway. But there you go. We came in, he made a trade, pretty cheap from as far as I'm concerned. Ultimately, you slid back 20 or so picks in the 4th round and gave away a 6th round pick to get a starting right tackle.
Yeah,
good,
exactly.
Solid, love it.
All right. March 10th, Chuck Clark signs 1-year contract extension with the Jets. Isaiah Oliver, DB, signs 1-year contract extension with the Jets.
Not an extension, but contract.
I read it wrong.
Yeah, he came over from San Fran.
Legatron, 2 years, $8.4 million extension. John Simpson, guard, 2-year contract. Tyrod Taylor, 2-year contract. Javon Kinlaw, 1 year, $7 million. Lakey Fotu, signed 1 year, $2.5, D tackle. Morgan Moses trade, which we just covered. And C.J. Mosley, restructured contract, 2 years, $17.25 million.
I was afraid they got rid of him. I saw some Mosley.
Yeah, I was worried they were going to get rid of Mosley as well. Overall, thus far, 3.5 days into this thing, I'm going to give the Jets a C+ on the offseason so far.
Right.
I'm going to give them a C+. They did, John Simpson and Morgan Moses, both coming over from Baltimore last year. A lot of people think because they're names they don't understand, these aren't good players. John Simpson was a fucking mauler in the running game last year. Absolutely just moving weight around at the point of attack left and right. He does kind of lack in the pass protection aspect of it, but it's still an upgrade over Laken Tomlinson at left guard, upgrade on the offensive line, upgrade on the offensive line at right tackle and at left guard. So now we have Tippmann's going to play center, AVT's playing one of the spots, Simpson's playing the other guard spot, Morgan Moses is playing right tackle. Tyron Smith is still out there and available. David Bakhtiari is still out there and available. But more importantly, if we do go ahead and use this 10th overall pick on a tackle, we got our fucking 3 new offensive linemen. We got it. So we needed 3 new offensive linemen. Right now we have 2. It looks like they're probably going to take one in the draft. We got the offensive linemen. Where they've lacked,
Bakhtiari going to not be a Jet?
right? Because and you can probably get away with not paying him a ton because of his injury issues, and how many other guys are going to offer him an ability to start, and no other teams are going to offer him an ability to play with his buddy Aaron, future vice president candidate for the United States of America.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
That guy. How about we play football, Aaron?
I was going to say that. Why don't we focus on...
They were talking about that at work, and I was like, what's going on? I don't even know anything about that.
Some losses.
Control, dude.
They did lose Jordan Whitehead, went back to Tampa Bay. They lost a lot in the run stuffing aspect of their defense. They lost Quentin Johnson and the other tackle that got hurt midway through the year, who was really good for them. His name is skipping me right now. And then they went, I don't love the Kinlaw signing. The Kinlaw signing is what hurts this grade for me. A guy who was top 15, I believe, draft pick, never quite really put it together, a lot of injury problems. never really panned out as a top guy, and they gave him a 1-year, fully guaranteed $7 million contract. We don't even know how many snaps he'll wind up playing for this team. I do have a problem with the Kinlaw signing. Other than that, they're doing good. Now let's get to what they haven't done yet. Recent developments as of just a few hours ago. Corey Davis, the captain, has applied for reinstatement to the NFL. The word on the street is right now, the Jets will release him, and then we'll work on trying to bring him back and re-sign him for cap reasons, bring a new deal in. Also, shortly following that news, the Jets are now shopping Allen Lazard. I don't know who would want to take Allen Lazard. If to get rid of him, get him off your books, you're probably going to have to pay a fair amount of his fucking contract this season. And then after that, I'm pretty sure there's no more guaranteed money after this year anyway. I think Corey Davis is a clear-cut upgrade over Allen Lazard. He was outplaying Allen Lazard all through training camp before he retired. But because Allen Lazard was fucking Aaron Rodgers' buddy, they came and they paid him way more than anyone else in the league would have paid him. And, you know, he's a 50-50 guy. He's either going to make a catch that makes you jump off of the couch or drop a ball that makes you want to cut your own dick off. And this is why I feel like the Jets, 2 years ago, the Jets were in on Mike Dubb before he re-upped with Los Angeles. Everyone thinks that the Jets should and will be in on Mike Dubb now as long as the price point is correct. I don't think so now with the Corey Davis thing. Here's the one thing Joe Douglas would not do. They were in on Calvin Ridley. They were interested in Calvin Ridley. They were never meeting a 4-year, $92 million price point for a guy like Calvin Ridley. So after I just spent 5 minutes ripping Joe Douglas for fucking swinging and missing on every big money signing that he's made, I'm not going to rip into him for not making a big money signing that might not work out. Like, the Jets fans just want to have their cake and eat it too. I understand that we've had such a terrible team for going on 14 years now of having a garbage team and not doing well and not even sniffing the playoffs, that you want action, we want action. This is not John Madden football. This is not fantasy football. This is not fuck-arounds, dude. So we do not get to blast Joe D for fucking swinging and missing on all of these huge contracts and then blast him for not signing more huge contracts. We can't do both.
No, I agree, and I think the storyline of last year's offseason was how many moves the Jets made. We were like, wow, this is all kind of working out. I mean, they wound up with a lot of pieces. I mean, Aaron Rodgers played a part, but they were coming at discounts. It's not like you plummeted the team.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Besides Lazard.
I mean, I think, just speaking from outside looking in, losing Bryce Huff is tough.
I didn't even touch on the Bryce Huff thing.
I don't know if you can go in on it. I thought that was the biggest loss, really.
Philly didn't only steal one of your best players. Philly also stole one of our best players.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man Bryce Huff. He got himself his 3-year, $51 million contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, coming off a 10.5 sack season, coming off his best season in the NFL, coming off the season where he dominates the entire field in get-off rate. He was the number one in get-off rate by a lot. Like, it wasn't even close. There's multiple memes throughout the year, especially on Jets Twitter, of, like, stills of Huff a step and a half into the backfield, and every offensive lineman hasn't gotten out of their stance yet. I understand it. You can't pay Bryce Huff that much money when you have 5-6 other edge rushers on the roster who you expect. We expect Will McDonald to take a huge step. A lot of people want to rip on Joe Douglas for making that pick in the first place when they felt like we needed a tackle. But maybe they had some foresight into the situation. And all of the physicals, all of the raw shit that we see with Will McDonald, he should be able to take another step. People just get frustrated that he wasn't on the field a lot this past season. But you got to remember, they're rotating 8 pass rushers in. When you have 8 guys and there's only 2, maybe 3 spots on the field at a time, not everyone's going to get in all the time, you know? So when you have these many guys that you're invested in, you can't go and spend that kind of money when there are so many holes elsewhere on the roster. And now everyone's like, oh, well, we have to hope that Will McDonald turns into what Bryce Huff was. Well, fucking yeah, but damn well sure. One was the 15th overall pick in the NFL draft. One was undrafted, which, by the way, congrats, Bryce Huff. That's the richest contract ever signed by an undrafted free agent, non-quarterback. So he good on him on getting his money. I know a lot of people are upset that Joe Douglas mismanaged the situation. A lot of people are saying they should have taken care of this last year when it would have came at a cheaper price. That's revisionist history. It's revisionist. Look, Bryce Huff was a great story for the Jets. I hope he continues to have success. But let's not act like two seasons ago we weren't talking about the fact that Bryce Huff is starting as a third down pass rusher being an atrocity. We were all upset that Bryce Huff was the best pass rusher on the roster 2 years ago. And now we're upset that he's leaving. It can't be both. It's got to be one or the other. I get it. It's going to hurt that he's gone. It's not like we let him leave and we only have one viable starter on the edge now.
Singletary will wear 26 for Giants.
That's
Good.
fine. Also,
Right away.
Tyrod
We
gets
love that.
signed. Kind of writing on the wall for Zach, it seems like, right?
Oh, yeah. Zach's done.
I hope he ends up somewhere.
I hope he winds up in Los Angeles.
Progress a little bit. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, honestly. That
That would be
a lot of fun.
fucking electric.
He sits behind Los Angeles. You mark my words, and you mark them now. We just lost Alessino, so I'm going to have to call him back. You mark my words right here and now. If Zach Wilson winds up with the Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay and gets the opportunity to sit with that offensive coaching staff,
For a year or two.
and he gets the opportunity to sit behind Matt Stafford, a guy who plays the position and goes about everything that has to do with the position the right way, we're talking all pros.
Yeah.
We're talking multiple All-Pro seasons. We're talking possibly a Super Bowl appearance. We're talking about all of the things for Zach Wilson that we saw out of him in college come to fruition if he winds up with the Los Angeles Rams. Count it now. March 14th, 2024, 7:26 p.m. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I do hope he gets his shot. So, do you wanna go through teams, or you wanna do big signings?
We'll go through teams.
Go team by team and just hit the big ones. So you just missed my rant about how if Zach Wilson winds up with the Rams and gets to sit behind Stafford for a couple of years with McVay, that we're talking multiple All-Pro seasons for him down the line. The one thing I will say is that the passing game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams is Mike LaFleur, who was the Jets' offensive coordinator Zach Wilson's rookie season, and apparently the two of them didn't mesh well. But I believe in McVay. I believe in learning from a guy like Stafford.
Yeah.
While Jack's looking for the next team,
We're good.
all right, never mind. Let's go. I was going to tackle the running back thing now, but let's do it
We're gonna start with Arizona. We'll go down the list
alphabetically. I
alphabetically.
love it.
All right. Nothing crazy. Signed a bunch of small contracts, like waving guys, moving stuff around. DJ Dallas, 3 years, $8.25 million
Random.
Crazy.
for the
Random.
for the Cardinals of all people.
That's like 2 and change a year, though. It's not.
Jonah
insane.
Just a weird signing.
Yeah.
Jonah Williams,
Yeah, 3
right
years.
tackle, 2 years, $30 million.
Jonah Williams is a good move for them. And they cut DJ Humphries, so they're going to slide Jonah Williams right into the left tackle spot.
Signed Blake Gillikin back to a 2-year contract, and traded Desmond Ridder straight up for Rondale Moore.
Yeah.
Writing was on the wall, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so overall, I mean, it's a C minus maybe. You know,
Yeah.
You
Well,
improved the left-
they would have had to pay him.
you made the improvement to the left tackle position in Jonah Williams for sure.
Right tackle.
What?
Right tackle.
No, he'll probably play left. No.
He's listed as a right tackle.
Whatever. You improve the tackle position, whether he plays on the left side or the right side. Maybe they are prepared to slide that rookie from last year over to the left. Neither here nor there. And then they went, I think the writing's on the wall here that they are confident, cocky, locked and loaded, ready to go, that those first 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks no matter who makes the picks at 1, 2, and 3. Marvin Harrison is already an Arizona Cardinal. Book it now, because otherwise, why else do you give up Rondale Moore for a backup quarterback who, in my opinion, does not have the potential to be a starter down the line? The one thing with Desmond Ridder is that he's a pretty good backup for Kyler. Like, he's a pretty good diet Kyler in terms of play style.
Yeah.
Shall we move on? Or Brian?
Yep.
No, Arizona. Just
Be in Arizona, you know.
just moving things around a little bit. Nothing too crazy.
We're gonna move over to the south. We're gonna move over to ATL. We're gonna
A
start
little
with
movement there. There was some movement.
Kirk Cousins, 4 years, $180 million, and with this contract, he surpasses Tom Brady in career earnings. 480 compared to 330. Charlie
Keep going.
Warner. Oh, go right ahead.
He said keep
No,
going.
keep going.
Charlie Warner, 3 years, $12 million, tight end. Darnell Mooney, 3 years, $39 million. Kadero Hodge signed a contract. Storm Norton, right tackle. Desmond Ritter, Rondale Moore, and Ray McLeod. So we really
They ended up with Ray McLeod.
yes, 2-year
Wow.
contract. So
Secondary's still pretty good. Sorry.
so now it appears the Falcons have fixed their entire secondary in one.
Ray McLeod's a wide receiver.
Not secondary. Receiver core.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
you
I'm
said
confusing.
the
Yeah,
secondary
I'm
was good, and
confusing.
I
That was my
went
fault.
with it. But Moonshot Mooney, what do I have to say? Rondale Moore, plenty of solid play out of Arizona. Ray McLeod, perfect returner for you if you don't have one set up already. And not only does that reinforce the receiver core, now that makes room for Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan in the receiving game. The entire offense went from being closed down to being entirely opened up.
Yeah, I think I respect the Falcons' continued effort of like really pushing the envelope and trying to make something happen. Because I feel like they tried to do it last year, then this year they're like, we'll figure it out with Kirk. Darnell Mooney, I think, is a great ad. They still have London, right? He didn't get shipped or anything.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
fine.
Mooney's just
And-
going to help stretch the field. Kirk Cousins actually throws to his tight ends. So, I mean, Pitts is going to become very interesting, I think, as far as fantasy goes this year.
Well, let me tell you, I made a move for Pitts yesterday.
There it is. It's a good move. I mean, I think it'll be much better. I think the offense will be better. My concern is outside the secondary. I really don't know anyone else on this defense.
They have an edge rusher in there. He's pretty good. His name is slipping me. Grady Jarrett.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett's like kind of a three-tech, kind of plays, three-tech.
Three-tech.
He slides around. He can do it all. For me, this is an A. For me, this is an A of an offseason. And all the things that you guys already said, we no longer have Arthur Smith calling plays like he's playing backyard football 2001. We're no longer going to be handing end arounds to the backup tight end, who was Jonnu Smith last year. Going and getting Kirk Cousins, I think, is huge for this offense. I think we talked about it all year last year, that Desmond Ritter was just not the guy who's going to be quick enough to make the plays and make the reads and get rid of the ball fast enough. Combined with Arthur Smith's play calling, which for some reason, his whole career, he was loved for it. He was like, oh, I'm a head coach now? Swerving you. I'm going to swerve on you. I'm not gonna do what everyone thinks I'm gonna do and call good plays, man.
Yeah.
So I like it. I think they've recognized that they're in a rather weak division, especially coming off of the Jaguars the Jaguars are not that division. So completely scratch that. They're in a very winnable division. They have a small, now with Kirk, 36 years old, coming off of the Achilles injury. It's a small window, but you only need a 2-year window to try to go out there and compete and win a Super Bowl, right? So this is a team, I know they're going to have, this has got nothing to do with on-field play, but to me it matters. They're going to have new uniforms this year. It's all but guaranteed they'll have new uniforms. Those uniforms they wore for the last 5 years were ugly as fuck. I think you look good, you play good. That's going to be part of it no matter what. Sue me if you don't like it, whatever.
Don't sue us.
Before Kirk Cousins went down, he was putting up top 5 quarterback numbers last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's my one problem with it. The team that would not give $200 million just 12 months ago for reigning defending MVP, Lamar Jackson, just turned around and gave 180 with 100 guaranteed to 36-year-old coming off the torn Achilles, Kirk Cousins. That's the part that's weird to me. But again, new regime. We can't really be revisionist about it. Maybe this regime a year ago would have made the move for Lamar. Maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. I think it's weird, especially when you look at it on paper. But saying clean slate starting on March 11th or whatever, March 10th, whenever it was, I think they did as good as they possibly could have at improving the things they needed to improve on the offensive side of the ball. So for me, short term, it's an A. Long term, who cares? We'll figure that out when we
Right.
get there. And if Kirk plays out the entirety of this contract for its total max value, he will surpass $500 million in career earnings.
Damn.
And I'm going to need that guy's agent to start working for us, dude.
Oh my god.
Spread the love. Christ. Else, you know?
Yeah, I give it an A. Basically, everything that you said. I don't really care so much about the Lamar Jackson thing. I think they got a guy now, and I think that they I also don't care about the jerseys, but I do feel like they're turning over a new leaf. No, it does feel like a renewed thing, and it should be very easy for them to win this division for at least the next 2 years if Cousins is healthy this year. I mean, the Saints are a disaster, and the Buccaneers, all right.
They're
You know?
they're interesting.
And if you want to make that bet now, get it in now, because I think Kirk signed and they're like -1, floating around -200, -160, -180. If you wait until fucking August to make this bet, there's not going to be value. So get it in now. I'm predicting they will be the most bet team to win a division.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Panthers
for
are
sure.
clearly, obviously, dog water. So, yeah, I like what Atlanta did.
Yeah, staying aggressive in it. Who we got up next, Chad?
Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, they
Right.
lost. What's the line now?
They gained
They-
two.
No, I
they-
meant they lost a very integral piece. Patrick Queen.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. Well,
Go ahead, Chad.
let's start. Mark Harrison, linebacker, 1-year contract. Derrick Henry, 2 years, $16 million contract.
So spicy.
Trade away Morgan Moses. Tyus Bowser, love that. Released. Oh, hate that. Brent Urban, D end. Odell, designated
June 1st.
post release by Baltimore.
Post June 1st cut.
Post June 1st cut. Josh Johnson, 1-year contract.
Josh Johnson. So, Derrick Henry though.
Let's just run read option.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the question still remains: who are we throwing the ball to besides Zay Flowers? But man, does getting Derrick Henry in the building seem somewhat interesting? I know the golden rule is 28. I think he's 29 or 30 right now. He's 30. I honestly, with the years that he spent behind Murray and in Tennessee, I think may have salvaged him maybe 1 or 2 more years of being decent on this Ravens team. To be honest with you, I think it adds a huge element to the game. I think Lamar, besides having Lamar run draws up the middle, now we have Derrick Henry running draws up the middle, so it is a little bit different.
Dalvin is still on the roster.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give this a D.
Really?
I'm going to give their offseason a D. I'm predicting right now that Derrick Henry falls into obscurity by the end of the year. I think this is it. This is going to be the year where it does not pan out well for him, and then we're just talking about
Complete opposite.
18 months from now, we're watching old Derrick Henry highlights. Like, wow, remember how crazy he was? Because running back is the one position in this league that all of a sudden, Todd Gurley's not 30 yet.
I know.
And
Everyone loves that stat.
That fucking guy fell off and it's not just him. He's just the more famous one
Yeah.
because he was an MVP
and
candidate.
he got
then
paid.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it fell apart real quick, real fast for him. I think that's going to happen for Baltimore, but the D isn't coming from the moves the guys they got. My D grade is coming from what they lost and failed to replace. Because we just talked about it with the New York Jets. 2 of their starting offensive linemen who are above average starters in the league are now on the New York Jets. Their left guard and their right tackle, Moses and John Simpson, left. Didn't replace them. So now you need 2 new starters on the offensive line. I'm not super familiar what their offensive line pipeline is looking like, but I know in the NFL, it's not deep, right? Because if it was deep, the Jets would have been able to make some trades last year and fix it. There's not a lot of teams that have fucking 2, 3, or 4 guys on the bench that are starting quality in the league. It just doesn't happen. So that's a problem. Then let's address the Patrick Queen thing. They did lose Patrick Queen. But as I ranted and raved on this podcast, Patrick Queen got better when Roquan got there. When Patrick Queen was the guy, his numbers fell off. I forgot exactly what the deal Patrick signed with
I think it's 2
the Steelers. What was the total on it?
I'm not sure.
Or the AAV, because Roquan just got $100 million plus, right? So you cannot justify paying 2 off-ball linebackers a combined $130, $140 million. I can't do it. And for those reasons, that's why I'm giving it a D.
3 years, $41 million.
3 years, 40. All right, so roughly $150 million for 2 off-ball linebackers cannot happen. Not when you're paying Lamar all that money. Not when you have holes elsewhere on the roster that need to be addressed. That's my take on it. Alessino?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with D's tough, but I'll go C minus because I don't think Henry. I don't feel as strongly as you feel about Henry. I do think that he's the best. The real best part of him is behind him. But I think they didn't address the real issues, and I didn't even replace the key parts that they lost. I didn't know that they lost 2 offensive tackles.
A guard and a tackle.
Okay, so compound that even further. But remember, they don't have a high pick. So a low pick, I should say. You know what I mean? An early pick.
A high pick is, that's good.
Yeah. So, again, they're going to have to chase free agents. They're going to have to do more in the next couple of weeks to kind of return to at least where they were. They definitely didn't get better this offseason so far.
No, I agree. Jack?
Moving on to Buffalo. We're going to start early here because... Apollo, be quiet. We got a lot happening here. So we're going to start on March 4th. David Edwards, guard, signed 2 years, $6 million contract extension. Ryan Bates was traded to Chicago from Buffalo for a 5th-round pick. Guard traded, so they flipped that. Saron Neal, released by Buffalo, clearing $2.8 million cap. Jordan Poyer, released by Buffalo, clearing $5.2 in cap, or $5.7. Rasul Douglas converted $1.25 million of salary plus $2 million roster bonus into signing bonus, adding 3 void years, clearing $2.5 million in cap. Mitch Morse released by Buffalo, clearing $8.5 million in cap. Deontay Hardy released by Buffalo, clearing $4 million in cap. Naheem Hines released by Buffalo, clearing $4 million of cap. Matt Hack, 1 year, punter, $1.125 mil. Von Miller converted $7 million of salary into signing bonus and $8.6 mil into more incentives, freeing $8.6 mil in cap. Taylor Rapp signs 3-year, $10 million contract, safety. Trubisky, 2-year, $5 million. Deion Dawkins signed 3-year, $60.5 million extension. Cam Lewis, 2-year DB, signed 2-year, $3.1 million. AJ Epinesa signed a 2-year, $12 million contract. Josh Allen converted $14.875 million of 2024 salary plus a $6 million roster bonus, clearing $16.7 million of cap. Daquan Jones signed 2 years, $16 million. Nicholas Moreau, outside linebacker. Daquan Jones, D tackle. 1-year contract. Tre'Davious White, designated post June 1st release by Buffalo, freeing up $10 million in cap. Mac Hollins, 1 year with Buffalo. Ty Johnson, 1 contract with Buffalo.
Read that last one.
Curtis Samuel, 3 years, $24 million with
Buffalo.
That happened today.
Yes,
it
literally as soon as I left the gym, that happened today.
As
And by God, I think that's one of the greatest signings of free agency. As stupid as it is, I think that's the perfect receiver they should have had.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but that guy's fucking incredible.
No, he is good, but
Rotting away in Washington for the past 3 fucking
but I
years.
feel like you freed up all this cap space, the whole entire free agency,
They got to pay everyone.
to add.
They came into the start of free agency $40 million over.
Oh, were they? That makes sense then.
Yeah, I give it an A+ grade.
Yeah, they were moving.
They came in $40 million over and did everything they had to do, and hey, they released a lot of names that these fans were all in for.
Dude, losing Poyer and White is kind of
Losing
crazy.
Poirier isn't as bad as you think it is. His numbers have
they kept
fell off,
Rapp,
but his name.
Damn, that's crazy.
It's an A+.
They keep the left tackle, too. They protect Josh, even though he really doesn't need protecting. But
The only thing is they would need another wide receiver next to Diggs because I don't think Samuel is a true number 2.
I disagree with you.
Neither was Gabe, though.
Before the Carolinas, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, before the Panthers blew it up, who was slinging the rock to both of them? It was I think it was Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold,
Yeah.
PJ
Tucker.
Tucker.
Throwing the rock to fucking
Baker Mayfield.
Baker at one point. Throwing the rock to DJ Moore, who is now in better pastures in Chicago, and Kurt
Not
Samuel.
really.
Both, whatever.
He'd be
Well,
better.
it'll be better. It'll be better. Don't doubt the Bears.
You sound like a Bears fan.
You know what? I might be rooting for the Bears.
You
They've been
sound like a
kicked.
Bears
You
sympathizer.
can only kick the dead horse so much, you know. Anyway, Curtis Samuel was killing it next to DJ Moore, and putting him next to Stephon Diggs, I feel like is one of the best moves they can make.
In terms of where they started and where they stand currently right now, I agree with you. It is, kind of looking like an A minus, B plus in that range. So good on them, but I will say, and I know this isn't a hot take, this isn't me breaking news to you guys, that window in Buffalo is closing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
That window in Buffalo is getting smaller and smaller by the second. We're talking about a 1-2 year window here before they have to completely reload. Unless they start
But I think they
making...
know that.
What?
I think they know that.
I do too. I
So
think the
I
next
think-
move
I
is
think,
going to
like-
be Steph Diggs next year. This time next year, we'll be talking about Steph Diggs on his third team.
When you do these grades, right? You're doing them based off of that team's best possible situation, given everything that they're facing. Right? That's
Yeah.
really the way to do this. So that's how I feel. That's why I feel like they get an A plus, because there's not much more they could have done given the situation that they're in. This is just how it is. The window, we know the window's closing. I feel like they never had a number 2 though.
They haven't.
Yeah, I don't think Gabe was ever a true 2.
I don't
For
think
sure
Curtis
he will
is
be
either. I feel like they've always never gave him that true number 2, and I think that hurt. And I understand that they have 2 really good tight ends, young tight ends, so I'm okay with that. But I don't know. Buffalo still doesn't do it for me. But I will give them an A.
We're going to move on to Carolina. Just had to swallow there for a second. Sorry about that. J.J. Jansen, long snapper, some contract extension. Troy Hill, DB, 1 year contract extension. Robert Hunt, 5 years, $100 million.
Jeez.
That's that guy who picked up that big guard from Miami
Yeah.
that picked up that loose ball and almost took it for a touchdown.
Yeah. 5 years, 100
Yeah,
million.
100 million for guards, crazy.
That's crazy.
Wow, I missed this. March 5th, before we even started this chain, Brian Burns offered $24 million franchise tag.
Mm-hmm.
And
Traded to
shipped
New
it.
York for, the trade we already
Yeah.
discussed. Damian Lewis, guard, 4 year, $53 million contract.
Bulking up this one.
Ashawn Robinson, DN, 3 year, $22.5 million. Josie Jewell, inside linebacker, 3 year, $22.75 million.
Damn.
Deontay Johnson traded to Carolina from Pittsburgh for a 7th round pick for Dante Jackson and a 6th round pick. Dante Jackson acquired in that trade. Amir Smith-Marset, 1 year contract, wide receiver. Dane Jackson, 2 year, $8.5 million. Von Bell released by Carolina, $1.5 million, $1.05 million. Bradley Bozeman, center, released by clearing $4.36 million in cap. Hayden Hurst released by Carolina, clearing $52,000 in cap.
Damn. Did Hayden Hurst dirty
That's tough,
for
dude.
52 grand.
DJ Wonham Jr., not Jr., DJ Wonham, DN, 2 year, $12.5 million. I'm going to give the Panthers a B+.
I'm not sure of the letter grade, but that Deontay Johnson trade actually seemed like it worked out in their favor pretty well. A 7.
I mean,
and
Dante Jackson's a good player, but they have the depth to afford it.
yeah. I guess I'll give it a B, just because it doesn't really seem like it's really going to make any significant of a difference. It doesn't seem like they got worse or better. So I guess maybe more of a C than a B.
Mm-mm.
For what they're trying to do, in Carolina, I give it a B+ for effort. They're putting the effort out there to do everything. The plan now is we need to do everything we possibly can to make Bryce Young not look like a failure, right? Because we gave up all of this stuff to get up there to take him, and CJ Stroud's lighting the fucking league on fire 3 weeks into his tenure. So we don't want to come out of this with the egg on our face. We want to be able to say, hey, CJ Stroud's pretty good, but hey, Bryce is pretty good too himself, So for what they're trying to do, I give it like a B+ for the effort, for going out there and doing what they had to do. In terms like overall spectrum, I mean, it's bad and it keeps getting worse. Because look, Robert Hunt's a nice player. $100 million for a guard that isn't named Quentin Nelson is fucking crazy. The other guard that they
Be
played,
surprised.
Damian Lewis, $56 million. Again, like this isn't as crazy as a deal, $56 million. I'm sure the guarantees is somewhere in the 20s. Not a crazy deal for a guard. They needed to protect the boy more. They got the protection in there. Going and giving up Dante Jackson and bringing Tay Johnson in there. Good move, especially we need more explosive, fast weapons for Bryce. We want to make sure if this doesn't work out, it's not because we didn't put Bryce Young in the proper situation to win. The reason they had Dante Jackson to trade is because they have Dane Jackson and J.C. Horn, right? And J.C. Horn is a fine young player. But if we want to look at this from the entire aspect of everything, they drafted J.C. Horn with Patrick Surtain still on the board. So if you want to look at the overall moves this team has made, the reason they're in the position now, there's so many fucking steps along the way where they made the wrong choice to get them to where they are now. To now we're scrambling and maybe overpaying and overdoing it to try to save face. So in terms of what they needed from where they started 4 days ago, B+. The last 18 months of this operation is an F.
Who we got next?
He didn't talk about him yet.
We got,
The Brian Burns trade, because I said it was basically an F, it's hard for me to go back and give them anything higher than a C at this point. So I have to stick to my guns and say C minus, D plus. It's just how it is. And I agree with Jimmy in the sense that they are trying, but I don't get good grades for trying. I've never gotten a reward for trying. You gotta come through, especially in the NFL. Participation trophies don't work. So you can't trade your best player away consistently over and over again and think you can live to tell a story about it.
Yeah, no.
next we got Chicago. So we're going to start early. Cody Whitehair, guard, released by Chicago, clearing $9 million cap. Eddie Jackson, free safety, released, clearing $12.5 million in cap. Ryan Bates, traded to Chicago from Buffalo, 5th round pick. Jalen Johnson, offered franchise tag, signed 4-year, $76 million contract
Really?
extension. Patrick Scales, long snapper, 1 year, $1 million. Tarvarius Moore, free safety, 1 year, $1.125 mil. Kevin Byard, 2 year, $15 million contract. Kevin Byard.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
DeAndre Swift, 3 years, $24 million contract. Gerald Everett, 2 year, $12 million contract. Jonathan Owens, strong safety, 2 year, $4.75 million. Matt Pryor, guard, 1 year. Brett Rippon signed a contract with the Chicago Bears. Hopefully not to play. Amin Ogbongbemiga. Oh God, this is horrible.
Amen Ogbongbemiga, linebacker, 1 year contract with Chicago.
It's crazy. Coleman Shelton, 1 year contract with Chicago center.
I think I'd give it a B. Seems like they added a lot of depth. A couple more pieces around Justin Fields if he winds up actually staying there. Because it seems to be... the idea of him getting traded seems to be floating around. But adding Swift, I mean... I don't know how Swift went from the Eagles to the Bears, but... Yeah, the guacamole. I guess Khalil Johnson wound up not panning out as well as they thought.
Khalil Herbert.
Khalil Herbert. Why am I saying Khalil Johnson? Khalil Herbert.
Roshan, thinking of Roshan.
Yeah, Roshan Johnson. I put the two together.
Palmer as the two of them. I'm going to call this a C. I'm going to call it a C. I like the DeAndre Swift move. I just don't know if they're a team that's in a position to really capitalize on adding a guy like DeAndre Swift. But like we said, this running back money seems like it was crazy. It wasn't. Like, the guys got paid early, but it really felt more like, let's take what we can get now before the contracts get smaller. Like,
Right.
There's a real chance that if guys didn't sign on Monday, they'd be taking a 50% cut by Wednesday.
Yeah.
And when you look at the money, just because of the way we were trained, especially over last offseason's nonsense, we feel like it's a lot of money. It's not. Saquon only got 20-something million guaranteed over 3 years. Like, that's not a high price point. The money is not crazy for the running back, so the money's not the issue. I just don't know if they're in a position now where DeAndre Swift's going to put them over the top. Overall, don't love it. I mean, they're making moves they need to make. They're doing what they got to do. They're kind of in this in-between spot right now where are we reloading with Caleb Are we going to let Justin go and get a fucking house of picks? We don't really know. I don't know. A lot of people think that they already know the answer to that, but we don't know the answer to that yet. A lot can happen in the next month between now and the draft. Kevin Byard. A lot of the times we get attached to names, we get attached to past success, and we get excited about a guy, right? But sometimes the league is already telling us how the league feels about a player. Kevin Byard was cut twice last season. He was cut by the Titans, right?
Yes.
He was cut by the Titans middle of the year. The Eagles picked him up, who were in the middle of making a playoff and a Super Bowl run, and they needed help at the safety position, and they cut him before the playoffs started. So two teams that had ambitions already said this guy isn't good enough for our roster. So sometimes they're letting you know, and then another team goes and pays him. I don't know how well Kevin Byard's going to pay out for these guys. I really don't.
It's an interesting point.
I give it a C plus. And the only reason why I give it a C plus and not a B plus or an A is because if you were gonna move on from Justin Fields, you should have done it already. The value was high when before Kirk Cousins free agency, before all these moves were made, before everybody started to do the carousel. That was the time to move them. So if you knew in your heart of hearts and they knew it, unless they really don't know, which still leads me to believe it's a C because you gotta kind of know. So if they were going to move him, they could have got the most capital for him now. If they know, and we look back on this and they don't move him, and they move that number one pick for more picks, oof, or they for some reason take Marvin Harrison at 1. I wish I could. I'll come back to this and give it an A because I think they're a playoff team right now with Justin Fields. They were a 500 team the last 2 years, right?
I don't. Were they last year?
Yeah, ish.
8,
Yeah,
9, 9
around
and
there.
8,
Yeah.
8 and 8, some right around there.
Yeah.
So really not that far from putting it all together. And I mean, Darnell Mooney, all right, you lost him, but they're so close. Like Justin Fields is so close. Justin Fields has 1 year where, the Daniel Jones year, we're like, holy shit, this is our franchise guy. And he gets paid a boatload. They make the playoffs. You can't see that happening. Like that year that the Giants went, 2 years ago. You can't see that happening to the Bears this year with Justin Fields. And Justin Fields being like, it was always me. Pay me $190 million. It was always me. And then never being that guy again. 100%. So I give it a C because if they were going to move on from him and they had a plan, they should have executed it then.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, the move should be drop from 1 to 11, get a lion's share, just highway robbery on the Minnesota Vikings because the Vikings are now in a position where they need to do something to keep Justin Jefferson in town.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Darnold is necessarily going to be that needle mover for Jetta. I think you're in a prime position to get multiple 1s, multiple 2s, and some change to drop 10 spots from 1 to 11. And then picking at 9 and 11, you can get 2 blue chippers that are going to make an impact for this team right away. More so than starting over with Caleb Williams will be. We have plenty of time to do draft stuff, but I agree with what Taylor Lewan said about Caleb Williams. He's done nothing good in the entire pre-draft process to do anything but say, hey, I'm a me guy. I don't really give a fuck what name's on the front of the jersey. It's going to be Williams on the back, and I'm going to be what's best for me. So I wouldn't invest that kind of stock in a guy like that. He, in my opinion, even on the field, watch the tape. The tape never lies. And the kid has got fucking his feet suck. He right away if his first read isn't there, he wants to panic and make the Mahomes throw. I don't want to get into that though. Next team, please.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh.
T. Higgins offered $21 million franchise tag and requested a trade.
Said no.
Nah, I'm all good on that, Holmes.
Said nah. Get me out of here.
Cody Ford, 1 year, $1.35 million guard. Trayvon Williams, running back, signed a contract with the Bengals. Drew Sample, 3 year, $10 million contract. Geno Stone signed 2 year, $14 million contract. Zach Moss, 2 year, $8 million contract. Joe Mixon traded to Houston from Cincinnati for a 7th-round conditional pick.
7th.
Mike Gesicki, 1 year, $2.5 million. Akeem Davis-Gaither, 1-year contract. Nick Scott, strong safety, released, clearing $2.3 million in cap space. Sheldon Rankins, 2-year, $26 million contract. Von Bell, a 1-year, $6 million contract.
So, I don't know what grade I give it, but my question is they were starting Chase Brown towards the end of the season instead of Mixon. Why sign 2 running backs? He looked pretty good, honestly. Getting Mixon out of there makes sense. I thought maybe you could have got more than a 7th, but I guess not. I guess that's just where we're at right now. Also, Gesicki is interesting, I think.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think
That
so?
guy sucks.
Not even as a pass catcher, vertical? No?
No, Gesicki sucks, dude. Let's just be honest about it. Two teams didn't want him. The Dolphins and the Patriots now both said, go ahead, pack your bags, go elsewhere. We don't need you here. 2 teams that need talent. No thanks. Go ahead, go play. If he was that good, he would have stuck around. I give this a D. D+. I give this offseason a D+ for them. Now, I will say, for those who may not be keeping score, Mekhi Becton is currently in town visiting with the Cincinnati Bengals. So for whatever you think that's worth as a possible blindside protector or strong side protector of Joe Burrow, seems like Mekhi Becton could be wearing the Tiger stripes by the end of the day. So they're not done yet, obviously. But as of right now, I give it a D+. And the only reason it's not an F, in my opinion, is you said you thought they could get more than a conditional 7th for Joe Mixon. They were cutting him. The news came out that they were cutting him. It was broken by Adam Schefter. And then the Texans came in at the 12th hour and made a deal to avoid the scrap heap of everybody else.
Trying to get him, yeah.
So the fact that they were able to get anything out of a guy that it's been known for the last 10 months that he was walking at the end of the year is a win to me. And that's the only thing that saves us from being an F.
C-. Nothing spectacular, but nothing. They lost Tyler Boyd, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Right now, Boyd and Higgins are on the roster still.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they lost Boyd.
I think
Yeah.
he has 1 more year.
No, he's
Oh,
unrestricted.
he is unrestricted.
Yeah, no. He works for no one. T. Higgins is still
alright.
on the roster.
I'm gonna go C because I mean Mixon is whatever. We've seen it happen a million times before, right? So I don't know. I think a Becton thing would move the needle a little bit for me. And Higgins is playing under the franchise tag, right?
No, they
He said nah.
He said nah. He requested a trade once they.
Doesn't matter though. He has to play under it.
He can choose not to.
He can, yeah, I was gonna say.
and pay fines out the ass.
Yeah, okay. He's playing under it. You know what I'm saying? Like more than likely he's playing under it. So I don't know. They still have 2 top receivers in the NFL. They still have Joe Burrow. It's a C for me. It's not sexy at all. Sorry.
No, it's really not.
Moving on to the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, baseline somewhere.
Denzel
Trade.
Ward converted $14 million of cap
Oh, we're maybe thinking of
of
different people.
base salary into signing bonus, adding 1 void year, clearing $11 million. Oh, wait, no. Yes, $11 million of cap with Cleveland. Jedrick Wills, tackle, converted $13 million of salary into signing bonus, adding a void year, clearing $10 million of cap. Jerry Jeudy traded to Cleveland from Denver for a 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick this year. Maurice Hurst, D-tackle, 1-year contract. Zadarius Smith, 2-year, $23.5 million. Jordan Hicks, 2-year, $8 million. Naheem Hines, 1-year contract. Michael Dunn, tackle, signed contract. Hakeem Adeniji, signed contract. Shelby Harris, D-tackle, 2-year, $9 million. Jameis Winston, 1-year, $4 million. Corey Bjorquez, 2-year contract. Tony Brown, DB, 1-year contract. Giovanni Ricci, fullback. Never see those anymore. Quentin Jefferson, 1-year contract, D-tackle. Devin Bush, inside linebacker, 1-year contract.
A lot of 1-year contracts.
Mm-hmm.
The Judy trade is very interesting. Here's the question. Is Deshaun going to be able to get him the ball? That's the question. I mean, if you think about it, Njoku, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, with Nick Chubb back as running back. That sounds amazing. Can the ball get to them, though? That's going to be the real question. I would love to see Deshaun continue the way he's playing and have Jameis come in and throw the ball in this offense. I think that would be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a B. And like you said, a lot of 1 and 2 year contracts. The reason being for the 1 and 2 year contracts is because we have a lot of money on Deshaun Watson. Right now, it looks like a failure. Let's try to fucking plug our holes and see what we were a playoff team last year with Joe Flacco at the helm.
Right.
Try to plug a few holes, not hemorrhage ourselves for the long term, and see what we have here with the team presently constructed. Another team with a small window. I like it because they are not cutting off their nose to save their face here. They're doing the opposite of what Carolina is doing. They are not going in and spending all of this big money and tying themselves up for a quarterback who may not be on the roster come next season. So for that reason, I like it. Like the Jeudy trade, similarly to the Giants deal with Brian Burns, I think it's interesting because they just traded for Elijah Moore last season, who is primarily a slot receiver. Jerry Jeudy is a slot receiver. So we still don't have another guy on the perimeter to go outside of Amari Cooper. Else, you got 30 seconds or less. Give me a grade, and then we'll email you back.
This B- because Jerry Jeudy doesn't move the needle for me, but no C. I don't like the effort. I can't grade effort. I can't go off effort. I don't like Jeudy for this. I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't know. There's something about it. He wasn't that good in Denver. He had Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was putting up top 10 numbers last year, and he still didn't get off. So what makes you think Deshaun Watson's going to make sure that he's a top-flight receiver? I think we just have to realize he's a bust.
Well, it didn't cost them a lot to find out. Get him in our
Right,
building.
no, but it's not enough.
That is good timing.
Amazing.
When you get him back, I'll take out so you're not completely out of here. But I agree, though. Still no one on the perimeter besides Cooper, unless you want Cooper to do what he was doing last year, which is, I feel like, what he's been doing on every single team he's played on, which is just, I'm going to constantly make plays on a team that's not going to make the playoffs, it feels like. But I think, like I said, I would love for Jameis to come in. Other than that, the defense pretty much stays exactly the same. Doesn't seem like anyone really moved around.
Yeah.
I feel like what you're saying is true. The Browns are just like, we're going to hit the reset button on this year real quick and figure it out from there, basically.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily hitting the reset button so much as it's just like, let's plug and play with what we got and see what we do, and let's not just make this worse. You know? Let's not take out a second credit card to pay off the first credit card we have maxed out.
Yeah.
Let's just fucking get a summer job and try to chip away at the thing, So, what do we have next? Bryan is going to leave us. He's got some family things to take care of.
I'll see you boys.
Take it easy. We'll see you maybe next week. Probably next week.
We'll see you probably next week.
Let's move on.
The Cowboys. Zach Martin converts $16 million into signing bonus, 1 void year, clearing $13 million of cap. Carl Davis, D tackle, 1 year, 1.37. Trent Sieg, long snapper, 1 year, 1.29. Eric Kendricks signs contract, undisclosed information. Jordan Lewis, spelled with a U, 1 year contract. C.J. Goodwin, 1 year contract. Dallas Cowboys, F.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say F. They let Tony Pollard walk. Have no replacement so far. Deuce Vaughn, I guess. Tyron Smith probably not playing for the Cowboys next year. Haven't replaced him yet as a left tackle. It's getting worse before it gets better for Dallas. I agree. I'm giving it an F thus far.
Me too.
Just doing everything unimpressive. Next team?
Yeah.
Denver Broncos. All right, where do we start? Justin Simmons released, clearing.
I agree, but keep going. Keep going.
Clearing $14 million. Tim Patrick, 1 year, 1.295. Chris Manhertz released, clearing $2 million. Mike McGlinchey converted $13.875 mil into signing bonus, 1 void year, $11 million in cap cleared. Jerry Jeudy traded. PJ Locke, strong safety, 2 years, $7 million extension. Brandon Jones, safety, 3 year, $20 million contract. Will Lutz, 2 year contract. Zach Allen, DN, converted $14 million into signing bonus, 2 void years, $11.3 million in cap. Ben Powers, guard, converted $10 million into signing bonus, 2 void years, $8.7 million in cap. Malcolm Roach, 2 years, $7 million, D end. Russell Wilson, designated post June 1st release by Denver and is now a Steeler. Lil Jordan Humphrey, good name, signed 1 year contract with Denver. F.
Yeah, it's an F, and it's an F for one reason and one reason only. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, we'll do it quick. We know by this point what they gave away. 3 players, 5 picks to get Russell Wilson. Plus they signed him to a $240 million extension when they traded for him. When they traded for him, he had 2 years left on his current deal. It was not a rip up the old contract and start new. It was an extension. So that extension they signed him to did not even start. Not one day of the calendar league year into that $240 million extension was played or had before Russ was cut and walked away. It is one of the biggest failures in the history of the NFL as far as making a trade for a player goes, in my opinion. And now we're looking at $85 million in dead money over the next 2 seasons that they're just eating for Russell Wilson to play elsewhere. All because, mostly in my opinion, Sean Payton is an egomaniac. Because you can say what you want to say. Russ obviously isn't the Russ that he was in Seattle with the Legion of Boom and Marshawn Lynch. A lot of the things that he did that made him great, you could just see they're leaving his game as he approaches his mid-30s. But you cannot argue the fact that Russ was not the problem last year. Russ was playing top 10 quarterback football for the entire season. He is not the problem. The problems run deeper than him. So ultimately, this just feels like he's not my guy. He's not the guy I wanted, so see you later. Huge mishandling by the entire situation by the Denver Broncos front office and organization. It's an F, though.
I agree 100%.
Moving on, we're going to move to the Detroit Lions. This goes back a while, huh? Oh, just here, perfect.
I would just read free agency.
Released the player, clearing $5.5 million. Tracy Walker, 1 year contract. Michael Badgley, kicker. Jalen Reeves, Mabin, outside linebacker, 2 years, $7.5 million. Manuel Mosley, 1 year, $2.875 million. Brock Wright assigned a 1 year, $2.985 million tender by Detroit. Graham Glasgow, 3 year, $20 million, guard. Marcus Davenport, 1 year, $6.5 million, D end. Carlton Davis traded to Detroit from Tampa Bay for a 6th round pick this year, 6th round pick next year, and 2024 third this year. Well, that would be this year. Amik Robertson, 2 year, $9.25 million, cornerback. Dan Skipper, tackle, signed contract. Brad Holmes, GM, 4 year extension. Dan Campbell, contract extension. DJ Reader, 2 year contract with the Lions.
I'm going to give it a C+. They improved at some aspects of the game. And then with the Carlton Davis acquisition, what we have to say here is that C.J. Gardner-Johnson, after 1 year in Detroit, has left the team and returned to Philly. And the biggest Achilles heel of this Detroit team all year last year was their defensive back situation. I don't necessarily know if Carlton Davis is an improvement over C.J. on the field, but what I do know is that C.J. wasn't on the field a lot last year. So, ultimately, that's why it's a C.
The B-. Dan Campbell extension was good.
Well, yeah, but it's...
They gotta lock up the coaches too.
I guess so. Green Bay Packers. Rashawn Gary, $175 million in salary plus $6.2 million roster bonus, clearing $4.87 million in cap. David Bakhtiari released $20 million in cap. Josh Jacobs 4-year, $48 million contract. Xavier McKinney 4 years, $67 million contract. Aaron Jones released, clearing $5.2 million. Keyshawn Nixon 3-year, $18 million contract. DB. Corey Ballantyne contract. DB. Devondre Campbell post June 1st release by Green Bay. Tyler Davis, tight end, 1 year, $1 million contract. A.J. Dillon signed a contract with the Green Bay Packers.
A.J. Dillon signed a contract?
Yes,
Okay. I thought they were going to let him go.
I did too.
They did, but they re-upped.
Yeah, it seems that way.
As of when?
Today.
I was gonna say he was meeting with the Giants today.
Yeah, that's weird.
Fuck it then. B plus.
Yeah, I'm going B+. What I was going to say was I think Josh Jacobs gives you Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in one body.
Yeah.
I think he gives you both of them in one body. And now the fact that you maintained A.J. Dillon to keep Josh Jacobs, keep the tread off of the tires, love that play. And then Xavier McKinney, sad to see him leave the Big Apple, but I think he's an upgrade over 21 Savage, Darnell Savage. I think who left the team. Darnell Savage signed elsewhere. And I don't know if the money's probably not the same, but you got to spend it. You do have to spend the money. You can't take it with you. And I think McKinney is a clear-cut upgrade over Darnell Savage. I think they upgraded those two positions for sure. And we've seen the growth. Like, this is a young team. Sometimes the additions come just from the team all being together again. Like, we all expect Jordan Love to take his game to another level next year. So
$20K for $20 million for Bakhtiari for him not to play. Absolutely.
Didn't they free
He's
up
on the fucking field anymore?
Yeah.
Moving on, Houston Texans. Dalton Schultz, 3-year, $36 million extension. Kaimi Fairbairn, 3-year, $15.9 million extension. Chris Boyd, DB, signed a contract. Eric Murray, free safety, 1 year, $1.75 million contract. Desmond King, 1 year, $1.8 million extension. Foley Fadukasi, 1 year contract. Lonnie Johnson, 1 year, $2 million contract, DB. Jeff Okuda, 1 year, $4.75 million contract. Danico Autry, DN, 2 year, $20 million contract. Michael Ford, DB, 2 year, $4.5 million contract. Aziz Al-Shir, 3 year, $34 million contract, linebacker. Noah Brown, 1 year, $4 million contract. Tommy Townsend, 2 year, $6 million contract. Joe Mixon acquired through the trade for the 7th pick.
Signed to a 3-year, $24 million
would have gotten there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Delshawn Phillips, linebacker, 1 year, $2.6 million. Daniil Hunter, outside linebacker, 2 year, $49 million contract. David Sharp, tackle, 2 year, $2.58 million contract. Malik Collins, D-tackle, traded to San Fran from Houston for the 2024 7th round pick. Tim Settle, D-tackle, 2-year contract with Houston. Joe Mixon, 2 years, $19.75 million contract.
I'm calling this an A. I think they got better at a lot of areas of the field. Obviously, Daniil Hunter, we know he's an animal. Joe Mixon, I expect Joe Mixon still has some left in the tank, especially when you consider that he's not going to be the only guy toting the rock back there for them. But when you look at the smaller moves, the 1 year contracts for not a lot of money that a lot of people don't necessarily fucking look at and say, wow, it jumps off the page. Jeff Okuda had a great redemption season last season for himself after being cast off by the Detroit Lions. Foley Fedorkowski, former New York Jet, is a very solid run stuffer up front. Danico Autry is a great player to have on the edge, and he'll mix it up outside and inside. I like a lot of the moves they made, and they didn't go crazy. The moves that they did make where you think, oh, they spent a little money. Daniil Hunter, they spent a little money, but they could be out of that contract by this time next year. It's not like
Noah Brown, 1 year, $4 million.
Yeah, Noah Brown's a solid move too, especially if Tank Dell continues to have the injury problems. Retaining Dalton Schultz is huge because they were talking about him definitely leaving, and then all of a sudden he just signed that, put that fucking ink to paper, and stayed there. I think he was a huge security blanket, red zone target for CJ. I think they did a lot of things right this offseason. They were aggressive where they needed to be, so that way they don't need to reach in April. They can go BPA for every pick they have.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's an A.
Moving on, Indianapolis. Michael Pittman offered 1 year, $21.8 million franchise tag. Jack Anderson, 1 year, $1 million guard. Zaire Franklin, 3 year, $31 million contract. Michael Pittman, 3 year, $70 million extension. Jack Anderson, guard, 1 year, $1 million contract. Oh, I already saw that. Okay. Taekwon Lewis, DN, 2 year, $12 million contract. Grover Stewart, D tackle, 3 year, $39 million contract. Rigbierto Sanchez signed a contract with the Colts. Kenny Moore, 3 year, $30 million contract. Raekwon Davis, D tackle, 2 year, $14 million. Ronnie Harrison, safety, 1 year contract. Denard Avery, DN, signed a contract. Joe Flacco, 1 year contract. Trey Sermon signed a contract. I mean, nothing crazy.
I think it's a B plus because they kept their own. They kept their guys that they were supposed to lose. They were able to bring back Michael Pittman, who we all cast off as a trade target and would be for another team next year. They're able to keep. They're able to keep Grover. Not Grover Stewart. Is it Grover Stewart? Defensive tackle. Yeah, they were able to keep their own guys and again not go crazy doing it. They were able to pick up some compensation for getting rid of Gardner Minshew and bring in Joe Flacco as a backup. Not a bad mentor to have for the kid AR.
I give it an A too.
All right.
I like Michael Pittman.
Keeping Michael Pittman's huge.
Moving on to Jacksonville. Foley Fatukasi, DN, released by Jacksonville, clearing $3.5 million in cap. Darius Williams, released by Jacksonville, clearing $11 million in cap. Rayshon Jenkins, released by Jacksonville, clearing $5 million in cap. Josh Allen offered a franchise tag for $24 million. Daniel Thomas, safety, 2 year, $4 million. Urza Cleveland, guard, 3 year, $24 million. John Cyprin, strong safety, contract. Mac Jones traded Jacksonville from New England for a 6th round pick. Mitch Morse, 2 year, $10.5 million contract. Gabe Davis, 3 year, $39 million contract. Darnell Savage, 3 year, $21 million contract. Devin Duvernay, 2 year, $8.5 million contract. Ronald Darby, DB, 2 year, $8.5 million contract. Jeremiah Ledbetter, D tackle, 1 year, $1.85 million. Darnus Johnson, 1 year contract. Eric Armstead, 3 year, $51 million contract signed today.
That's huge. I'm gonna give them an A minus. They get the A-1 because the Eric Armstead contract. I'm just hearing about this now. That is a huge move for them up front. That guy is a beast in the interior, and then also they were able to. I mean, Gabe Davis. Where is the drop off between Gabe Davis and Calvin Ridley? Because I don't think it's huge. And
No.
Calvin Ridley got $92 million, and they got Gabe Davis for $39 million. You said, and then,
Crazy difference.
and then bringing in Darnell Savage for $21 million. When his replacement in Green Bay just got the $64 million, Xavier McKinney, I think they got value. They shored up the front on both sides. They made good moves. And, you know, when you're able to replace guys that you lose for fractions of the money, I think Gabe Davis has a better season than Ridley next year. I think they did great all across the board. The problem is now your number one's Christian Kirk, and I think they're now going to be one of these teams that has a bunch of 2s and 3s and no true 1. But all things considered.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that, well, I mean, it depends who you ask around the league whether Christian Kirk was a number 1 or not. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, I think a couple of years ago they asked Tyreek Hill for his top 5, and he put Kirk in there.
Yeah, I know. That's the viral clip on Shannon Sharp. But, you know, you good?
Moving on, Kansas City.
Yeah, good.
Jerry Sneed offered $19 million franchise tag. Drew Tranquil, 3 year, $19 million contract. Chris Jones, 5 year, $158 million. James Winchester, long snapper, 1 year, $1.37. Irv Smith, tight end, 1 year, $1.29 million. Deion Bush, safety, 1 year, $1.37 million. Patrick Mahomes converted $27 million of 2024 compensation into signing bonus, clearing $21 million of cap. Mike Pennell, D tackle, signed a contract. Tershawn Wharton, D end, 1 year, $2.75 million. Jody Fortson signed a contract, tight end.
And they got the punt god Matareza,
Matariza did sign.
Yeah.
which is why
He
they
did, right?
which
Good
is
for him.
which is why they allowed Tommy Townsend to leave and go to Jacksonville. Baby, for let's just call it what it is. The Chiefs are not a team that's going to be built to make a ton of moves in March and early April here, but just for keeping Chris Jones, it's an A in my opinion. Alessino?
He appears to be
You there?
busy.
Yeah, I'm here now.
There he is.
I just said just for keeping Chris Jones, I give them an A.
Oh yeah. They gotta listen. You gotta keep the dynasty intact while you still can. So yeah, I agree with you. You do everything you can to keep the core together for as long as you can.
Yeah,
But their window probably doesn't close because of Patrick Mahomes.
they'll get their receiver help that they need in the draft. It's another very deep wide receiver class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus,
but
I
we
think
say
Rasheed
that,
Rice
and
is
then
true.
we think about guys like Justin Ross and fucking this other guy.
Justin Ross, yes, but Justin Ross is different because he had the spinal problems.
I think
Back
Rasheed
broken,
Rice is a true
spinal.
number one.
Back broken, spinal.
Rasheed Rice is the
I-
number one, but they need a
No,
two
I
and
think
three.
he is a true number one.
Yeah, I
Not
agree
a
with that.
number, not Jalen Hyatt, not Rwanda Robinson. I think he is a true number one.
I agree.
Moving on to Las Vegas. Jimmy Garoppolo suspended 2 games for violating league PED policy, voiding all future guarantees on his contract with Vegas.
And will be cut if he hasn't already.
Amir Abdullah signed 1 year, $185 million. Running back Brian Hoyer released, clearing $92,000. Andre James, center, 3 years, $24 million extension. Christian Wilkins, 4 year, $110 million extension. Contract. Gardner Minshew, 2 year, $25 million contract. Hunter Renfrow released, clearing $8.21 million. Jimmy Garoppolo designated a post-June 1st release. Harrison Bryant, 1 year, $3.25 million. Jerry Tillery, D tackle, released by Vegas, clearing $3.8 million of cap. D.
I don't know. C, D?
No,
C?
yeah, I'm gonna give it a C. I think this is a long-term operation that they're gonna be trying to clean this mess up in Vegas. It's not gonna happen overnight. I like the Christian Wilkins signing, but other than that, I like the Gardner signing because now it's Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, and we're talking about a team that if they are in position to make a run at a quarterback here in the draft, it's not going to be one of these top 3, 4, 5 guys. So it's probably going to be somebody that is going to need some time to develop. So I like the idea that Gardner can step in there and play the first 10, 15 games if he has to. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
C, middling.
Moving on to the Los Angeles Superchargers. Starting on January 24th, Jim Harbaugh hired as head coach. Joe Horitz, GM, hired. Corey Linsley agrees to lower his 2024 base salary from $11.5 million to $1.21 million for purposes of post-June 1st release. Eric Kendricks released, clearing $6.5 million in cap. Gus Edwards, 2 year, $6.5 million contract. Will Disley, 3 year, $14 million contract. Alohi Gilman, free safety, 2 year, $10 million. Andrew Trainer, tackle, waived. AJ Uzodinma, waived. DB. Mike Will, released, clearing $20 million in cap. Joey Bosa restructures. And Khalil Mack talking about restructuring.
Khalil Mack also restructured or is going to restructure. Yeah, look, I'm not going to do it for the Bills and then not do it for the Chargers. Another team that came in way over the cap. For a team to come, another team coming in way over the cap, and they've already made enough moves to get under it so far in a couple of days. While being able to keep Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, they got the restructures off instead of having to cut these guys. I'm giving it an A because I can't do it for the Bills and then not do it for the Chargers for coming in here and making the savvy moves to save their money and get under the salary cap. Does the Mike Dubb thing suck? In a way, yes, but we know he has the injury issues. And similarly to what the Bryce Huff, Will McDonald conversation we had about an hour ago, you don't draft a guy in Quentin Johnson that's 6'4", and similar to the same build of Mike Dubb, and then
to keep him
get worried about cutting Mike Dubb.
Yeah.
You have a player in the same mold that is on a rookie wage scale contract instead of a $23 million a year contract. So I won't do it for the Bills and not do it for them. I give them an A.
Yeah, I give them an A too. Even though they definitely got less talented, I'm still going to give them an A.
Moving on to the Los Angeles Rams. Demarcus Robinson, 1 year, $4 million contract. Kevin Dotson, 3 year, $48 million contract, guard. Jonah Jackson, 3 year, $51 million contract, guard. Colby Parkinson, 3 year, $22 million contract. Yeah, I don't get that one.
Neither do I.
Darius Williams, 3 year, $22.5 million, DB. Alaric Johnson, tackle, 1 year, $4.89 million. Mike Hecht assigned 1 year, $2.9 million tender.
It's a B plus for me because I can't understand the Colby Parkinson aspect of the whole thing when we still have a guy who is the clear-cut number one tight end in... you know what? Never mind. He tore his ACL late in the year, right, Tyler Higbee?
Uh-huh.
It's an A. Now it's an A because I forgot Tyler Higbee tore his ACL. You made significant improvements to the interior offensive line, and you add a replacement for Tyler Higbee. Let's just assume Tyler Higbee's never going to play another snap for the Los Angeles Rams. Bringing back D-Rob on a fucking 1 year, $4 million contract is way savvy, way under the radar. It goes back to an A for me.
And he's gone.
Bueller?
Bueller.
I'm here. Yeah, I agree. Not an A, but a B. They definitely. Higbee tore it in what do you call it? Right in the playoff game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that too.
All right.
Yeah, that's like a B.
Moving on. Miami Dolphins. Keon Crossan, DB, released, clearing $3 million in cap. Emmanuel Ogba, DN, released, clearing $13 million. Isaiah Mack, D tackle, 1 year, $1.125 million. Jerome Baker, outside linebacker, released, clearing $9.8 million. Jonnu Smith, 2 years, $8.4 million. Devian Nixon, D tackle, signed contract. Elijah Campbell, safety, 1 year, $1.5 million. Jake Bailey, punter, 2 years, $4.2 million contract extension. Anthony Walker Jr., inside linebacker, 1 year, $1.3 million. Jalen Ramsey converted $13 million salary plus an additional $11 million roster bonus into signing bonus, adding 1 void year, clearing $19 million of cap space. Durham Smythe, $2 million converted into signing bonus, added 3 void years, clearing $1.6 million of cap. Zach Sealer converted $7 million into signing bonus, 2 void years, $5.6 million. Alec Ingold, $2 million converted, 2 void years, $1.6 million in cap. Jordan Brooks, linebacker, 3 year, $26 million contract. Aaron Brewer, 3 year, $21 million contract. Jordan Poyer, 1 year contract, undisclosed money. Savon Ahmad, 1 year, $1.292 million. Shaquille Barrett, 1 year contract. Saron Neal, 1 year contract. Xavier Howard, designated post-June 1st release. Neville Gallimore, D tackle, 1 year, $1.79 million. Kendall Fuller, 2 year, $16.5 million contract. Benito Jones signed a contract.
This is going to be a C minus or a D plus teetering for me because they just simply lost too much talent and didn't bring enough back to replace it. Lost Christian Wilkins, lost Robert Hunt. There's more that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Of. They lost
And
more. They lost more talent than they replaced, and
Massive bodies on the defensive line.
and they replaced guys in the prime of their career for guys on the tail end. So
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I agree, and this has nothing to do with their free agency. But I think that they're going to have a tougher time repeating what they did last year, next year.
for sure.
Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings. Matt Alexander. What?
You go ahead. It's an F, but go ahead. It's an F, but you can go.
Alexander Madison, running back, released by Minnesota, clearing $3 million in cap. Johnny Munt, tight end, 1 year, $2 million contract extension. Jonathan Grenard, 4-year, $76 million contract. David Questenberry, 1 year, $1.8 million contract, right tackle. Andrew Van Ginkel, 2-year, $20 million contract. Blake Cashman, 3-year, $22 million contract. Blake Brandel, 3-year, $9.5 million contract, tackle. Sam Darnold, 1 year, $10 mil. Aaron Jones, 1 year, $7 mil. Dean Lowry, D-end, released $2 million cap. William Kweku waived. John Parker Romo, kicker, signed contract. Brandon Powell, 1 year, $2 million. Jonathan Ballard, 1 year. Harrison Smith, 1 year, $9 million restructured extension. Jerry Tillery, D tackle, 1 year, $3.75 million. Trent Sherfield, 1 year, $1.79 million receiver.
Yeah, it's going to have to go ahead and be an F for me, dog. The one thing I really can't wrap my head around, I understand the age factor of it. I understand all of that. But not paying Danielle Hunter to pay Jonathan Greenard doesn't make sense to me. Again, I'm not an expert on what Greenard's numbers looked like last year, but I know that playing across
12.5 sacks.
12.5 sacks, and what did Danielle Hunter have? Do you know?
Less. Like 9.
I just feel like Jonathan Greenard benefited from playing with Will Anderson and all of these other young guys and a good season in Texas. I don't think he is, really the player that Danielle Hunter is, but what do I know? I'm just a guy in his basement. The one move I love is obviously Sam Darnold. I really do hope that they are not able to make a huge quarterback move in the draft. I would love to see Sam get a full 17 games as a starter and see what he can do, because this might be his last shot, and I want to see him at least go down burning instead of going down holding a clipboard.
I think this is a D. For me, I said F, but after hearing it all, I'm going to go D just because I like the Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold moves it from an F to a D. And I applaud the trying of bringing in Aaron Jones and being able to do that because clearly running back was an issue last year, right? Madison wasn't the guy that everybody thought he was. So by trying to bring in a guy who's been there, done that, been the bell cow, I don't hate it. I think that helps. I think that's so. I'm gonna give it a D. Still not great.
Cam Akers still on the roster for the Vikings. Has not been released.
And when you throw in the fact that it was reported that the Vikings offered Justin Jefferson $30 million plus a season, I think before last year started, and he said no, that's bad sign going forward for the organization and for the fan base.
Yeah, it's a real bad sign.
All right, moving it on to the Patriots. Bill Belichick fired. Gerard Mayo hired. Michael Jordan. He's coming out of retirement, I guess. Reserve contract. Let's see. Is there any? James Ferentz, center, retired. Lawrence Guy released, clearing D tackle, clearing $3 million. Adrian Phillips released, clearing $3 million. Matthew Slater retired. J.C. Jackson released, $14 million in cap. Kyle Duggar offered $13 million franchise tag. Chukwuma Okorafor, tackle.
Nailed it.
1 year, $4 million. Hunter Henry, 3-year, $27 million contract extension. Mac Jones traded. Kendrick Bourne, 3-year, $19.5 million extension. Chris Board, linebacker, released, $2 million in cap. Antonio Gibson, 3 years, $11 million with New England. Mike Onwenu, 3-year, $57 million. Guard. Jacoby Brissett, 1 year, $8 million. Sion Takitaki, linebacker, 2-year, $6.645 million contract. Jalen Rager, 1 year, $1.2 million contract. Retire already, dude. It's over. Released Devontae Parker, $133,000 in cap. Josh Uche, 1 year, $3 million contract. Austin Hooper, 1 year contract. Anthony Jennings, outside linebacker, 3-year, $12 million contract. Armin Watts, D tackle, 1 year, $3 million contract. Nick Leverett, guard, signed contract. I'll give it a C.
Yeah, this gets elevated to a C for me because They're able to get something for Mac Jones and get him out of the building and get that sour taste out of everybody's mouth. They retain Kendrick Bourne for a very fair price, and we bring in Jacoby Brissett as the starting quarterback. That elevates it from like a high D, low C to a mid C for me.
For now.
What, Jacoby
Jacoby
Brissett
Brissett.
as the starting quarterback for now?
I'm going to go B- because I believe there was a lot to it to clear out the old regime. I don't think it's as easy as just Belichick's gone and now, there's, here we go, we're in, and it's all going to just fall into place. So I think it's going to be a lot harder than, he has a pretty big blueprint, footprint there, I should say. So I'm going to give it a B-, and I'm going to say that it's going to take some time, but let it happen. You know what I mean? Let a year or two happen in this regime and see where we get. So I'm going to give him B- because it's not easy to follow those footsteps.
Moving on to the New Orleans Saints. Almost had Pelicans there, but
How many teams do we have left?
a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Speed run?
Yeah, speed run.
Eric McCoy, Derek Carr, Nathan Shepard, Carl Granderson.
Just do the signings.
Caesar Ruiz. A bunch of these guys restructured, freeing up millions and millions, like nearing north of $30 million in cap, including Cameron Jordan. Tyrann Mathieu, 2-year, $13 million restructure. Mario Davis, 2-year, $17 million restructure. Jameis Winston, designated for release. Willie Gay Jr., 1-year contract. Marcus May, released. Michael Thomas, released. Nathan Peterman signed a contract. F. It's getting worse.
They're solving their salary cap issues a little bit, so I'm going to give it a D+.
C, because they have so much bad issues, they have no choice.
All right, moving on to Philly. Avonte Maddox cut. Brandon Graham, 1 year.
Just do the signings, Jack.
Cut me off again.
You just said it 3 times.
Bryce Huff, 3-year, $51 million. Saquon Barkley, 3 years, $37 million. Zach Bond, Matt Hennessy, Braden Mann, Rick Lovato, Devontae Parker, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, 3-year contract. Jake Elliott, 4-year extension.
Perfect. A. I
A.
hate to say it, but it's an A.
It's an A.
Move on.
Pittsburgh Steelers release Mason Cole, Keanu Neal, Patrick Peterson, Allen Robinson, Cameron Johnson, 3-year, $9 million contract. Punter. Jesus Christ. Derek Watt retired from football. Patrick Queen, 3 years, $41 million contract. Deontay Johnson traded. Dante Jackson traded. Russell Wilson, 1 year, $1.21 million. Miles Kilbrew, safety, signed 2-year, $6.5 million. Christian Kuntz, long snapper, 3-year contract. Deshaun Elliott, strong safety, 2 years, $6 million.
I'm giving them an A. They were able to bring Russ in on a $1.2 million deal to potentially, put a quarterback that puts the team over the edge. They're able to fill the holes on the defense they needed, specifically with Patrick Queen and with Deshaun Goldman.
Yeah. Who else can get a top 10 quarterback for minimum value?
For vet minimum.
And then still have the flexibility to say after 1 year, hey, we're putting Pickett back in charge.
Yeah. And they get that the monkey off their back with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. So, A.
Moving on, San Francisco 49ers, bunch of extensions. Yetur Gross-Matos, DN, 2-year, $18 million. Fred Warner converting cap. Jordan Elliott, 2 years, $10 million contract. Malik Collins traded to San Francisco from Houston. Juszczyk restructure. Eric Armstead released. Kevin Givens, D-tackle, 1-year contract.
C.
Yeah, it was B-. Would have been better if they could keep Eric Armstead, but you're not going to be able to keep this squad together forever.
You can't, yeah, exactly. You'll never keep this team together.
Moving on, Seattle Seahawks. Tyler Lockett, 2-year, $30 million restructure. Noah Fant, 2-year, $20 million. Leonard Williams, 3-year, $64 million. Pharaoh Brown, 1 year, $8.2 million. Nick Harris, 1 year, $2.5 million. Artie Burns, 1 year. John Radigan, linebacker. Michael Jackson, didn't know he was around. 1 year, $30 million tenure. Darrell Taylor, outside linebacker, 1 year, $33 million. George Fant, 2-year contract, right tackle. Rayshawn Jenkins, 2-year, $12 million contract. Sam Howell traded to Seattle from Washington for a 4th and a 6th and a 3rd and a 5th.
4th, 6th, 3rd, and a 5th?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right.
Hey, Seattle, good job. I mean, not really. You kind of got fucked over by Washington. Washington, A. Seattle, B.
I'm going to give Seattle a B+. And look, I just said that there was a lot of picks to get Sam Howell, but the idea that you're getting a starter who, when you look at the advanced numbers, he was the starting quarterback last year, look at a lot of the advanced metrics, a lot of people think that he is a project worth having. If you have an ability where you can transition from Geno to him seamlessly a couple of years down the line, I think it's all going to work out well. So for right now, I'm giving them a B+.
Yeah, I'm a B. I agree with what you're saying.
Moving on, Tampa Bay. Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield, Baker Mayfield, all re-signed. Chase McLaughlin, kicker, 3-year, $12 million. Greg Gaines, 1 year, D-tackle, $3.5 million. Carlton Davis traded. Chase Edmonds, 1-year contract. Levante David, 1-year contract. Shaq Barrett, released. Jordan Whitehead, 2 years, $9 million.
I'm giving them an A- for keeping all of their guys that they needed to keep. And they got Baker on a very
You gotta keep the window
friendly.
open.
They got Baker on a very friendly Geno Smith level contract.
Yeah, you got to keep the window open as long as you can.
Moving on, Tennessee Titans. Tony Pollard, 3 years, $21 million. Lloyd Cushenberry, 4 years, $50 million. Chidobe Awuzie, DB, 3-year, $36 million. Kenneth Murray, 2-year, $15 million. Sadiq Charles, 1-year contract. Julius Chestnut, running back. Mason Rudolph, 1 year, $2.8 million. Calvin Ridley, 4-year, $92 million. Nick Folk, 1 year, $3.25 million. Nick Westbrook-Akeen, 1 year contract. I'll go B+.
I'm giving them an A for aggressively doing what they had to do to give Will Levis the best shot possible the next season.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like they were headed more towards a rebuild, but I guess they're kind of putting them in a position to give it a shot. So
You don't give a 27, 28-year-old receiver $92 million if you're in a rebuild.
I know. I hear you. So I'll give it a B.
Last team on the list, Washington. The Washington Seabirds.
We got less than a minute with him, so let's go and get his reaction quick.
Fucking fixing this. Logan Thomas released. Zach Ertz, 1 year contract. Doris Armstrong, 3-year, $33 million contract. Tyler Biadasz. Tyler Biadasz. 3-year, $29 million. Frankie Louvu, 3-year, $31 million. Austin Eckler, 2-year,
Shut the fuck
million.
up, dude.
No, Jim. We just did a whole fucking podcast.
We have the video, though, so that's the cool news.
Amazing.
Let's finish it out, because we have the video, so it's still postable.
I don't even fucking need this microphone.
Let's finish it out.
Alright. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Don't love it, but what are you going to do, baby?
2-year, $3 million for Austin Eckler. Brandon McManus, 1 year, $3.6 million. Nick Algrady, guard, 3-year, $16 million. Cleveland Farrell, 1 year, $3.75 million. Marcus Mariota, 1 year, $6 million. Dante Fowler Jr., DN, signed contract. Tyler Ott, 3-year, $4 million contract. Long snapper. Jeremy Chin signed with 1 year, $4 million. Nick Gates, guard. Released Jeremy Reeves, 2 year, $6 million. Jamison Crowder, 1 year contract. Bobby Wagner, 1 year, $8.5 million. Anthony Pittman, signed contract. Linebacker Sam Howell traded for treasure trophy picks. Hey,
Yeah, I think all things considered, they made a lot of good moves, a lot of good, build a base for the franchise moving forward. Got a lot of value for Sam Howell. I give it an A. I give myself an F because we just fucking realized that the recording software was not working this entire time. So what I am going to do is I will post a video to YouTube. I'll find a way to rip the MP3 for the fucking iPhone audio off of the fucking video, and then I will put that into the MP3 and I will load it to SoundCloud. We're brought to you by House of Havoc Podcasting, Stay Thirsty Company, Justin's Chop Shop of West Hampton Beach, and Dino Skate Park. Peace out.
stay tuned.